That finished a little bit quicker than I was ready for, Kath. we are back. You've got to turn your phone down, Kath. Doing things live. I actually had everything worked out that we wouldn't do a mistake. We are back for Breed to Succeed, episode number 10, and thankfully not the last one. Kath McIntosh joins me from Northern Rivers. Now, we are a little bit dark on the screen, but it's because we wanted to get the mares in the background. We're out in one of the fold-down paddocks, or your main fold-down paddock here, Kath, and it's a beautiful sunny day, unlike Ballarat last week. Much sunnier day and a great weather.
Yeah, I think this is the first decent day we've had for the whole series of weather-wise. It's great to have the sun shining, and we're sitting outside our foal watch hut and hoping that maybe we might get a live foal born in the background, but I don't think so. I think the girls are just out for a stretch and a walk.
It was suggested earlier that we might give them a poke or a prod, but that won't make anything happen, will it?
No, not a chance.
I will start the show off on a sad note, just with the passing of Martin Hartnett. On behalf of the harness breeders Victoria, I think we need to pass our condolences, not just to the family, but also a lot of trainers. There's a lot of people that he's touched over the years. He's been a long-time member of the harness breeders. He won, they actually won the Ian Daff Memorial back in 2015, 2016, and their broodmare, Luna, landing in 2013 and 2014 was the broodmare of the year. So they've been long-time associates of the Victorian Harness Breeders Association, and it's very sad. I think it's everyone would know the Illawong name racing, and it'll continue to race. They've got some cracking 2-year-olds this year, so just very sad for everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Hartnett and his wife Kay have been just icons of the industry, and it's very, very sad news, and we thank them for their contributions over the years.
It is. It's never easy, those things to start off with. That's for sure. But COVID-19, it's a different world that we're in as well, so it makes it a little bit harder for the family. But hopefully they'll all be able to get around that. We'll get on to the show, and I've got to make sure I get through everything before we get to Kath. So Kath's here today. We're going to talk about semen, when people are going to start collecting, transportation, pros and cons, and frozen over fresh, and how hard a year it's going to be with the COVID-19 and the restrictions on movement and the likes. That's about right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I just think there's a lot of people have a lot of questions about this year. There's a lot of uncertainty because of COVID-19, so just wanted to deliver a clear message on what is happening, when it's happening, and how you can best manage your mares to accommodate the different courier freight systems, I guess you would say, and also just plead with everyone to be patient and to be organised as much as they possibly can, but to be flexible, because we're all just taking it week by week and often day by day at the moment, so things will change during the season, and hopefully they'll keep on improving for the better. But yeah, we just want to cover off on some of those things today so that people know where they're at and what to do with their horses to get the best result.
Absolutely, and I've got a fair bit of bookwork, or housekeeping, shouldn't say bookwork, housekeeping we've got to get through. So fire your questions in. If we miss them, we won't miss them. We will go backwards and forwards. We'll definitely try and keep on top of them as we're rolling through them. There's no problems there at all. vicharnessbreeders.org.au, go there and sign up and be a member. Membership. The membership is still on now. Early bird special closes, as I found out just before midnight tomorrow night. Desiree said as long as people are signed up by tomorrow, either a copy of the payment or at least filled out the forms to become a member, you go into the draw to win the early bird special, and someone will win a free service fee to the Storm Inside donated by Alabar Bloodstock. And also thanks to Nyota, I think they're Nyota Bloodstock, but yep. They are Nyota Bloodstock. They will also chip in a service fee to Great Success. There is also a couple of other prizes as well there. I think there's a couple to King Van Avenger. Anyone that's got a trotter and wants a paddock serve King Van Avenger, there'll be a couple of deals going there as well. And all you have to do, sign up and become a member. But when you become a member, Kath, you get a lot of other privileges as well. You have great awards at the end of the year, generally around now. Unfortunately, it won't be happening. But you become a person, part of a group that is growing in voice, isn't it? Yeah,
that's it, and that's our number one target for Harness Breeders Victoria, is to be a source of information, education, and also to provide people with that avenue to put forward any issues that they may have, and to basically stand strong on certain things, or perhaps enact change on other matters. So but the more people we have backing us, the more of a voice we can have for you in the industry, and hopefully build the industry even further.
And there is lots going on. We've got an episode next week with Nick Hooper that's going to, like, I've been privileged to a few of the things that they're going to be announced, but I think it's going to be one that everyone wants to tune in and watch this show. As I said, it'll be next Sunday from 4 o'clock. It'll be a Zoom meeting, but be aware that a lot of these things that are happening is purely because of this association and this group that have banded together and work as one unit. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. Harness Breeders Victoria have been working a lot behind the scenes in the last 6 to 9 months on a number of different matters. So this is technically our last Breed to Succeed session, but we've added an 11th week, just as a bit of a recap on, all the Breed to Succeed sessions, get any feedback from people, and also to discuss, some of the new things that are, happening in the industry, and how that will all work.
Absolutely. Today's show has actually been brought to us by you, Northern Rivers Equine. You're doing a lot of things here, and we'll probably touch off on that towards the end. You've got a couple of exciting announcements in the frozen semen section, I suppose, and the likes. But today you're donating a prize for one of the lucky members. So all anyone has to be is be a member of Harness Breeders Victoria, and their name's going to get drawn out of a bucket, kindly donated by Kentucky Equine, and they will they will get drawn out and they will win. Basically, you're going to tell me the price? Yep.
So this week is a $250 breeding voucher to one of our stallions here, or else if it can be put towards veterinary or adjustment fees if your mare is here on farm. So there's a number of ways that they can use that with us.
Absolutely. One of the other great things I think that's come out of this is Barrastock and their sponsorship. I must say, I've got the vest on, may not be able to see it, as I said, because of the sunshine. Andrew Soper, Kath doesn't have a Barrastock vest on. Just putting it out there, mate, that you might want to do a bit of more product placement and the rest. But Barrastock do a great job. Andrew Soper, I've lost my other photo. I only realised I must have got rid of it. So there's a behind the scene one there with Beckham as well. That was that was one of the early ones you say about the conditions.
Everyone's rugged up there.
Rugged up conditions. Yeah. But Barrastock kindly every week donate 10. Few of the photos that have come in off Twitter. These ones are off Twitter, actually, these photos here, Kath, and they're people. Jared Maloney, Jenny Lewis posted hers today. I think it's great that not only do the people accept the feed, but they actually put it back out there as another form of sponsorship. I think it's what makes it.
It's all good promotion.
It's what makes this show for me go round, because I think people get to reinforce everything that's said, like Foresight, all these other people that we've had on board with sponsors. They're getting more bang for their buck. Their names are going over there in the sold. APG, Nutrien, people's brands are always there, and I don't think it's been done before. And I think that's one of the great things about it. And I love the fact that the people put the photos out. If you've won it and you haven't put a photo out, or if you won it and you put a photo out and I didn't take it, please don't take it personally. They were just a quick grab of the ones that I found, but I do think it's it is really, really good.
We really do appreciate everything that people have done to support this Breed to Succeed series. It was, it's the first time anything has been done like that. So it's really great to have so much support. And then Barrastock each week as well has been terrific. So, and on top of that, Harness Racing Victoria has thrown their full support behind it too. So, and all that, it is for the benefit of everyone.
Absolutely, and we weren't sure how it was going to work initially, and it was going to work. We had preliminary talks, I suppose, way before COVID hit, and then it just kept changing, didn't it, and kept evolving, and it has as we've gone. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Brett on a table, Brett Coffey or Nick Hooper in front of us in a camera, because I think that would be sensational. But the Zoom meetings still work, so it still definitely works. And going forward, like a couple of months down the track, we'll probably catch up with both those when we can, and get the two of them talking together. I think who knows how long that show will last, but it'll be very, very good. Also, go to the Vic Breeders website there for everything. I said the website site before, but please go to the website, click on everything, and you can see everything that there is to have. I've done a funny thing here, Kath. No, it's all good. It'll come up this way. And also the stallion guide is out and it's in the mail. Desiree tells me it's definitely in the mail now, all the hard copies. If you want a copy of the hard copy, easiest way to do it, sign up and become a member. And that's the easiest one. You'll get one automatically sent to you. You can contact Victorian Vic Harness Breeders directly, and they will send one out for a fee. But yeah, why not become a member and be eligible for all these other prizes going along? So I think that's really, really good. We'll go through a couple more things. The barn, I think it's been very well received from Harness Racing Victoria. And the website's down the bottom. Anyone that wants to visit it, go there. You can see all our episodes up there. Plus there's going to be newsletters uploaded automatically from all the studs, so it's a great way of keeping up with what other studs are doing, plus news and things that have been put out there on harness racing.
Yeah, that's right. It's the first time we've had a modality that's just been about breeding and promoting what's happening in the breeding barn, basically. All the new information each year, and I think it's exciting and will be a great resource for breeders.
Absolutely. I've got one other. I'll do it. No, we'll do it at the end. There's stallion tenders are plenty. And I think we'll get onto those probably at the end of it once we get through a little bit of your facts. But we've got stallion tenders, and we've also, as I said, got to reinforce that last episode with Nick Hooper. And I encourage everyone to view. You alluded that it might be a second person on as well, which will make it even more important. So I think it's going to be very, very riveting. But firstly, Kath, I'll throw to you now, and you can actually discuss, I suppose, preliminary that's a big word for me. I'll tell you, I did a half okay job of getting it out. But what you know so far about the semen and the collection dates and how it's all going to work.
Yep. Okay. So this season, obviously, I said before, it needs everyone to be, a little bit flexible, and just knowing, and also know that you all will be able to get your chilled semen, as you have always been able to. It's just that it may be either a little bit earlier in some cases, a little bit later in some cases, and perhaps by a different way. So let's start by first mentioning, and this is quite significant, is that New Zealand and Australia will now be aligned in their collection days. So Monday, Wednesday and Friday for all stallions in New Zealand and Australia. So in the past, New Zealand would collect every second day, regardless, and Australia was always Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now the two countries will be aligned, and it'll be Monday, Wednesday and Friday each week. So now that's, it was always something we had to work through, what week are we on? Are we aligned with New Zealand? Are we not? And factor that in when we're, ordering semen for the mares. So in some ways that will streamline things a lot, because we just have to remember Monday, Wednesday and Friday each week. So ideally scanning Sunday before a service on Monday, scanning Tuesday before a service on Wednesday, and scanning Thursday before a service on Friday. Now, having said that, because of the the challenges around the availability of flights, it will mean that in some cases the semen will be, instead of it is normally collected Monday morning, Wednesday morning and Friday morning and shipped off. Because of the logistics of flights, it may mean that the semen might be collected the evening before. So here, we're potentially looking at collecting at 7:30 in the evening, so that it's ready for Jeff and Lorraine to take down to Melbourne and ship off around the place. So in that way, by the time you get your semen, it might be 12 hours older than normal. So you just need to bear that in mind when you're setting up your mare to breed.
Just quickly, there'd be probably some people there'd be thinking, this all sounds. How did it use? Like previously, it actually worked pretty good, didn't it? Like it sounds very complicated, and I know a few people have probably tried to take Jeff and Lorraine's job a few times because they think, it's a pretty cushy job, but it did did actually work pretty seamlessly.
Yeah,
it was a logistical nightmare in a way as well, wasn't it, when you actually listened to what they were doing?
Yeah, and look, it will work well this year as well. Jeff and Lorraine have been doing this work in the industry in both countries, New Zealand and Australia, for 20 years. They know all the systems of the airports, the local couriers. They know how to work, work in the flights, all that sort of thing. They have so much experience in that area that it will mean that this year, even with all the challenges, that things will still work, incredibly well. With so many moving parts, with anything that gets shipped around, it's amazing that we have the success that we do with the semen that we ship. And shipping with Lorraine and Jeff Barnes, having them coordinate it all is far more without issue than any other way of shipping it, whether by post or other couriers. And we know that from dealing with a lot of other breeds of horses when we get semen from other places. So working in with them, with the airports, and that is the best way to go. And this year, even with the challenges, they have got a plan down and sorted. They even drafted a press release for me, which is very good of them to do. So basically, they will be the semen from New Zealand will be collected in the evenings the night before, and it is coming out on the first flight into Australia. So for example, they'd collect Sunday evening. The semen would arrive in Melbourne in a Monday morning. They will take all the semen from around Victoria down to Melbourne. They will pick up what has to be taken back to the Golden Valley and to New South Wales, and they'll bring it back up. They'll also send any semen back to New Zealand on the return flight back. So New Zealanders will be getting our semen that same day return as well. Flight. Yep. So that works in really well. And then Lorraine has got all her permits sorted, and she's going to be travelling into Western New South Wales. Because the biggest thing with Western New South Wales is a lot of those rural flights from Sydney out to Dubbo or Parkes and those sort of areas are just not happening this year. So instead, she'll be driving it up through the Riverina up into those areas, so people will get that semen later on on a Monday. So it's quite phenomenal. It'll work really well. It'll just be about communication. Everyone be a little bit patient as well, as we work through things. If they're unsure, everyone I'm sure has Lorraine's number already, or they can contact the studs direct to see how things are going or if they have any questions there. But basically all that semen from Monday morning will be up into Western New South Wales in the evenings or late afternoon, depending on where they're located, and those mares can be AI'd then. And then for all those other states, that semen that's landing in Melbourne will then have flights to Brisbane, to Western Australia, South Australia, all as normal. As normal, yeah. as it used to work last year, yeah. and previous. I'm going to stick up for Lorraine for 1 minute, and I know a lot of people say at the end of or halfway through the season she can be a bit short from time to time, and I can say this because I've trained horses for Lorraine, and she knows I'll say it honestly. When you just say all that, you've got no doubt why it gets a bit stressful. And I think if you're contacting her, spot on, ring her and find out where it is, but just be aware that you're probably not the only person ringing wondering where things are, and just factor that in, just for their own mental health, the pair of them, because I know they work themselves to the bone. By the end of the season, they're absolutely spent. It's a hard go. They take their job really seriously, and it's a big responsibility. Everyone knows that they've gone to all the time and effort to set up their mares, and everyone wants their semen in their mare as soon as possible. So just ask people to be flexible, be patient, and communicate. And the other side of it is that from the breeders as studs, we want as much information as possible. So if they can get their mares organised, their contracts returned, and know, so everyone knows in advance, what mare's going to be bred to what stallions, then that will be really helpful in us ensuring that A, you get a dose of semen, and B, you get it in a timely fashion. The other thing to mention is that the cut-off times for ordering that semen will be a little bit different, particularly if you're ordering from studs that are collecting in the evenings. So and I've got it all here, so I'll just read it out. So for Victoria, we've got Good Time Lodge. Their first day of collection is the 21st of September. Their order cut-off time is 8 p.m. in the evening.
In the evening the night before.
No, yep, so as normal. So,
So
if you're ordering
it's
semen
a Monday,
today,
order it Sunday.
Yep, if you're wanting semen tomorrow, you need to have placed your order with Good Time Lodge for one of their stallions by 8 p.m. this evening. For Goulburn Valley Equine Hospital, so they've got a number of stallions there on behalf of various studs. Their first day of collection is this Wednesday, the 2nd of September. They will likely collect in the evenings before, so they would appreciate to have those orders in by 3 p.m. the day before. So if you're wanting semen from a stallion that's standing at Goulburn Valley Equine for tomorrow, you should have had your order into them by 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yep. So no, you keep going and I'll ask you in a minute. So all good.
So then we'll move on to Alabar. So Alabar, Australia and New Zealand, their first day of collection is the 21st of September. I, as yet, do not have an order cut-off time from them, but I'm sure that they will, communicate that to their breeders when they're aware of how that's going to work.
And I'm sure Desiree will put it on the everyone as a member. It'll be on the Facebook page, and also probably she'll tag everyone in it as well going forward.
Now, in terms of Woodlands Australia, and for us here as Northern Rivers Equine, our first day of collection is this Wednesday, the 2nd of September, and you need to have your orders into us by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's for Woodlands Australia. So that's the stallion standing here of Woodlands, American Ideal and Lather Up.
Yep.
Yeah, and then our other sires that we have here under the Northern Rivers Equine banner. Woodlands New Zealand, their first collection day is Friday the 11th of September. They will need to have orders to them by 2 p.m. on the day before. So, some of these cut-off times are a bit earlier than what we used to have. So 2 p.m. Australian time is 4 p.m. New Zealand time, which also means that those in Western Australia currently would need to have their orders in by midday because of the time delay. And come daylight savings, that will be a little bit earlier again. Yeah. So it's really, you just need to be really conscious of these so that we can make up, the appropriate number of doses for each stallion. I think sometimes maybe people don't realise that when we collect a stallion, we dilute the semen and extend it out according to the number of doses, and that is the number of orders that we have. So sometimes we can, depending on the fertility of the stallion and the popularity of the stallion, we can make up extra or spare doses. But that, if they're quite popular, that doesn't always happen. And ideally we want to be sending out the biggest dose of semen possible for your mare. So this is why we need to have the orders done well in advance so that we can set up the paperwork, which is paperwork that needs to go to Jeff and Lorraine Barnes so that they can then organise the logistics of booking the planes, booking the buses, booking the other couriers and all those sorts of things that those boxes then need to go on. Yep. So there's it's not just the number of doses that we need to make, but this kind of chain effect and roll-on effect of all the other people that need to know that information.
And effectively, if you're 20 minutes late, that can bugger the whole day for Australia-wide, effectively, if any of the studs are late. So if anyone rings up half an hour later and says, oh, sorry, I'm only half an hour late, well, that's how late you are, because you could bugger the whole system up, can you?
Yeah, and unfortunately it may mean that you miss out on semen. So yeah, and I know we've over the years everyone's had a pretty well developed routine in scanning their mares and placing the orders, and some people just do it at the end of the day when they can sit down finally and have a cuppa in 5 minutes to organise themselves. But now pretty much if that mare's been scanned and you're going to need semen, then get on and send that order straight through to the stud if you could, please.
Yep. And that's the whole idea of this show, is to actually to make people aware. To breed to succeed is what it's actually all about, and we want to succeed full stop. So we want to make sure the horses get in foal early. So in 2021 we've got a heap of foals coming out as well, which is
Yeah, that's it, because we need to try and maximise our foal population as much as possible. We don't want any mares to miss out, and we know that you go to a lot of effort to get your mares set up and ready for the semen, and we don't want any of those mares to not have semen in them when they're ready. We want foals on the ground. So a few of those things that have just changed. We just need to be just that little bit more organised, and communicate. And if you're unsure, just ring the studs and double check. Make sure they've got your order. If you email it through, follow up with a text message or a phone call to the stud manager, and make sure that they've got your order and that everything's in place.
Absolutely. Sorry, if you had more to go, I'll let you.
No, I think that's pretty well covered off. So, the key thing there is that New Zealand and Australia are now online Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Get your semen orders in and double, in time, nice and early, and double check with your studs as to what the requirements are.
Absolutely. And with no Alabar, we've got no Alabar in New Zealand either, so we're not sure what they're doing over there.
So, Alabar, New Zealand and Australia, first day of collection is the 21st of September.
Sorry, just
for both of
times.
them. Yeah, just the order times, but they will, we've got it. That's 3 weeks away yet, so there's a little bit of time there to work that out.
From your point of view, from a stud, a proprietor, and all the rest, can you see it working easy?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just, it's just as long as everyone knows what's required of them and when, it'll work fine. So, I also would like to encourage people to use ovulation drugs for their mares. I'd say that probably 80% of the industry does, but it's really important that you continue to do so, and that those who don't use them. And the reason why is that an ovulation agent will ensure that your mare will ovulate in a set window of time. So if the semen's a little bit older than what it normally is when it gets to you, the semen only has a certain lifespan. So if it's going to be a little bit older when it gets to you, then you need to make sure that your mare is set up to accommodate that. There's no point giving her an ovulation agent when you AI the mare, because by the time she ovulates, chances are the semen may be no good, or perhaps the fertility has lowered. That may affect your conception rate. We usually work on giving an ovulation agent 24 hours before we AI the mare. But we may now, extend that a little if we know that the semen's going to be a bit older before we get it.
So when you say extend, go earlier or go later?
Yeah, go later. So pushing her closer to ovulation time by the time you put the semen in. So it means that the semen's going in when that mare is closer to ovulating. It doesn't have to sit there for so long. It takes 6 hours for the semen to swim up to the oviducts to where the egg is going to be waiting to come down. So you need to allow at least 6 hours for the semen to get to its destination before the mare ovulates.
Yeah, and that's just one of the things that a lot of people in the old days just took a stallion to a mare and put them in and it's one of the things I find with hidden costs. People always say about hidden costs with vets and all the rest. There's so much that goes on now in making sure we can get it all right and right on the day. And this year is going to be even harder, isn't it? Because you're going to have so much more forward planning.
Yeah, just fine tuning your mares, knowing your mares, and also ovulation checking the next day, because if for some reason they haven't gone off, then you may need to order yourself another lot of semen for the next day, just to make sure that you do get them. Yeah. And if you do get semen and the mare hasn't ovulated, then ring up and let Lorraine know, or let the studs know, because there might be someone who has missed out, or perhaps got their order in a little bit too late, and they might be able to use that semen.
Yeah, crossover. That's a great thing. Just don't be selfish and say, "Oh, we'll just flush that one down the sink and not worry about it." Someone else may be able to use it, especially like locally.
And especially this year. Yeah,
it could be. I was going to ask, like with spares, so it possibly is going to be a logistical nightmare in a way for studs to advertise that they've got some spare semen, because it may not be that easy for people to be able to get it either.
Yeah, I think what will happen is that, from our perspective, so Lorraine will take some spares up into New South Wales, and Jeff will take spares down to Melbourne. And if people, sometimes you just get caught unawares by mares, like they, this we're talking about mares here. They do crazy
You've
things.
said it, not me. I haven't said a thing about it.
There's nothing textbook about a mare and her cycle, as much as we like to make it that way. And if you get caught unawares and you have to, you need a spare, just get onto Lorraine or Jeff, or get onto your stud, and we'll do our best to accommodate you.
To go that way. We've had a few questions coming through. Sally McPherson, we will go back from that one because I think she's hoping to win the prize, I suggest. .G would like a Barrostock vest as well. They all love Barrostock vests. Andrew will be hoping for that. Andrew, I'll read this one out. Just lost it though, unfortunately. Sorry, I just lost one then. Andrew very kindly organised to have Breed and Go to be included in our next feed order from our usual supplier. Thank you again. So he's very good that way to work with, Andrew Soper, that's for sure. Sue Markle, you definitely did. I apologise. Yours was one of the first photos, so she put one of the photos up. Sue Markle, does this mean that even Aussie-based stallions possibly will be collected the previous day, and will be informed? She's put 2 B's. Will not sure what it'll be, but will be informed. We'll go with. To go again. Does this mean that even Aussie-based stallions possibly will be collected the previous day and will be informed? Is what she's written. So.
Yeah. So certainly at the start of the season, some of the, depending on the location of where the stallions are, they'll be collected the evening before, because the logistics of getting the semen to Lorraine or to an airport means that they would need to probably be collected at 3:30 in the morning, and the logistics of doing that are quite difficult. So so that means that they'll be likely to be, the semen will be 12 hours older than normal.
Absolutely. John,
but just be mindful that it's likely that as this, if things get on top of the COVID-19 as the season progresses, some of the flights and things might open up a bit more, and that might help in the logistics of the season, and we might be able to go back to morning.
Go back to
covers,
a more regiment. So it's a moving feast, like everything is with COVID-19. It's forever ever changing. John Wasbar, how will West Australia go for flights? They obviously must be okay.
Yeah, I know Jeff and Lorraine are all over that aspect. So their expectation is that all the flights in the capital cities, they'll be in Melbourne quite early in the morning. So any flights going to capital cities, they will have the semen on them as normal. Yeah. The only ones that will be a little bit tricky, and particularly in September, are those flights going to Tasmania. So there's less of those because of their border, like their complete shutdown. So it'll be just a little bit trickier for those in Tasmania. But typically there's not a lot of mares bred in Tassie in September because it's a lot colder. So potentially by October that might open up a little bit then as well.
Yep, very good. Sue Markle has nothing but highest praise for Lorraine Barnes, and so does Alexander Hurley. And please, I definitely do as well. I just trained a horse for Lorraine, so I can say she's grumpy and she'll know exactly what I mean, but it's all good. So there is no problems there. Harness Breeders Victoria, Desiree has actually put that all these figures will be put up onto the website. So just go to the website down there at the bottom, vicharnessbreeders.org.au.
And we'll update them as quickly as we can with any changes as the season happens as well.
Yep, absolutely. Joanne Anderson, the Barneses do a great job, as do the studs. Everyone will just have to be mindful of the changes this year, and that's exactly right. Blanche Poole, Sean Murphy are watching. Heaps of people are watching. I'm just trying to get, there's a few more. My wife is watching, so that could be in trouble. Blanche Poole, Jeff and Lorraine do a great job. It's a job many people don't understand how difficult it is. The logistics this year, I've got to stop doing that. People will need to be patient with their mares, exactly right. Nellie Melba, are you expecting there will be higher negative result ratio this year?
No, there shouldn't be. If you're thinking about, working out when you're going to be getting that semen and timing your mare accordingly, it should be the same. And we've done our longevity studies on all our stallions that are here, the 6 of them, to look at which extender the semen is best performing in, because it does change from year to year. And so we will extend each stallion according to ensure that they are, we've got the best percentage of progressively motile semen to go in a mare. So, some of those things in fine-tuning things at our end as well will help in getting equally good results as last year. And, look, maybe we might even get better results because everyone will be just on the ball and have everything organised for their mares.
Kath was complaining earlier about a flying midgie or ant or something that just went straight into my eye. I just said, but at least it's overcast. I can see my computer and everything else like that. And we're not going to have a mare foal by the looks out the back of us, but they are smack on the camera on tune. So that's actually very good. Murphing, do you recommend empty mares be impregnated as early as possible?
Yeah, look, as long as they're cycling. So all the mares at the start of the season will go through a spring estrus, or they'll be, and which means that they start to put up a follicle, and a follicle is what they eventually ovulate and release as an egg. And so that spring estrus, they can appear to be showing in season and carrying on like they're ready to be served, but when you actually scan them, they can have follicles of varying sizes, and they might go in and out of that spring estrus 10 or 12 times over a number of weeks before they finally have that first cycle. So don't get tricked into serving mares that are in that spring estrus, because occasionally you'll get lucky and they'll put up that dominant follicle and decide to ovulate it when you have served them. But 9 times out of 10 they'll put up a follicle, drop it off, put up a follicle, drop it off, and even giving ovulation agents won't necessarily pop that follicle off into an ovulation. So doing it as early as possible when you know that they've had that first cycle for the season. And that's when they have ovulated. You've got a CL there. That means that they're going to be responsive to prostaglandin. And once they are responsive to prostaglandin, you can PG them on and bring them on. So, every year is different. It'll be interesting this year. We've had I think everywhere's had a really good winter season, lots of rain, whereas last year it was very dry, drought conditions, across the whole eastern Australia, basically. So it'll be interesting to see how the mares cycle this year. Last year, a lot of them took a long time to come out of their spring estrus, but maybe this year they'll be a bit quicker. Who knows? Because
days like today, where the sun's out, although you can't see it now. Frozen semen, Kath, and getting mares to the studs logistically shouldn't be a major issue. I mean, in Victoria, especially right at the minute. I mean, we're in stage 4. Lockdown in Melbourne, but thankfully there's not a lot of studs in the area that's stage 4 lockdown. Yeah, so movement of horses is still allowed, and the Victorian government has specifically said that the breeding season must happen, so horses are allowed to be moved around to go to places where they can be served, whether it's a stud or an agistment property, or by commercial transports or your own transport. So that's fine, you're allowed to do that. Getting them and probably, I guess, is it if you normally if semen normally takes a while to get to you, maybe it's better to move the mare to somewhere where you know that it's going to get the semen a bit earlier, and that might improve your chances, even if it's just to be AI'd, and then you can take your mare home and have her preg tested at home where you normally would do it. So that's an option as well. Yeah, and if you are travelling through areas, like there'll be some people that probably have to travel through Melbourne, just maybe check with the local councils or governments, and if you need paperwork to get through. But it is essential service, so just take it. I
had one come up on the weekend out of Melbourne, and he was stopped at a checkpoint to and he sort of said, what are you doing, where are you going? And he said, I'm taking my mare up to a place so she could be foaled down. And they said, no worries, animal welfare, that's fine. Yep. So if you've got a mare on board, that'll be the reply.
Yep. And numbers are constantly dropping. I mean, I don't think anyone's kidding ourselves we're out of this tomorrow or in 2 weeks' time or anything along those lines, but it's going to be a different world no matter what. But numbers are definitely dropping, so hopefully in 2 weeks' time that there's a fair easement for everyone, and it might make it logistically a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, that's it, and that's what we hope. Ultimately, no one's got a crystal ball, and we don't know if things are going to pop up later down the track over the next few months. So we're just going to have to roll with it and work it out as we go.
Numbers here, like early, I suppose, looking for a crystal ball for you for mares. is it looking like you're going to have a lot more mares this season than most? I know you've got a lot more stallions, but are you looking like serving quite a few more mares this year, or?
Yeah, I think it would certainly be on a par with last year. There potentially might be increased numbers. It's, they're still sort of rolling in the bookings and things like that. So yeah, but it's definitely, despite everything going on, it's amazing how positive breeders are at the moment, and they're still wanting to breed horses, which is great.
Sarah Gray was very similar last week. She, I didn't ask her on set, but she said afterwards it looks like a pretty similar year, if not better year than previous ones early on anyway. And everything changes, but the fact that we've been able to still continue to race, I think, gives people a lot of confidence. That's for sure. Yeah,
and although things in the racing scene have changed a lot, I think, for some, the regionalised racing was, brilliant, and people have won races that they normally wouldn't have won, and they've got, fees in, driver fees and race fees that, that's encouraging them to breed. So
absolutely. Quickly, you do sponsor this show, so there's no worries there. We can give you a plug. Last time you didn't sponsor it, but you put it there. But you've got some exciting news. You've got 6 stallions on site. I hope I'm right there. You've got 2 in conjunction with Woodlands in American Ideal, and Lather Up, first season sire, fastest horse in the world to come to Australia, which is great. And then you've got 3 Australian bred horses plus mare.
Yeah, so we've got 6 sires all up. Poster Boy, Soho Tribeca, and Yankee Rockstar are our homebred sires, so Poster Boy and Soho both having their first season at stud this year. They have got bookings from all states of Australia, which is great and exciting, and they have been very popular, which I can understand why, but they are really popular, which is good. And also we're shipping Poster Boy semen to New Zealand. The guys over there have taken a liking to him as well, so we're quite busy with those 2. Yankee Rockstar, he's having his 3rd season with us, so we've had a lot of repeat bookings for people that have already got foals. They are so impressed with the type and the temperament that he is throwing, and he's definitely stamping his foals. So it's his 3rd season, and he's going to have pretty good numbers as well, because often the 3rd year is the hardest, but we're very pleased with how he is going. And then Mare, he stood his first year with us last year. He's from America. He beat the likes of Mick Wicked and Sweet Lou in his racing career. So he's a terrific stallion, beautiful temperament, and we will see his first foals on the ground this year, or very shortly. I think there's one due in about 3 weeks. So we're looking forward to that. And that horse is just built with speed. His whole entire pedigree is just stacked with speed. So, pretty excited about those 6 boys.
Then you've also got, just recently announced, and look at the smirk on the face, Bacardi Lindy as frozen semen, plus...
Yeah, so our trotting boys now. So Bacardi Lindy is frozen. So, Pastor Stephen is our new boy. He is frozen semen as well. He's a full brother to Father Patrick. And we're very excited to be having his frozen semen with us this year. We should have that semen with us by the start of October. He's standing at 5,000 plus GST for frozen semen service,
which is exciting. It's great bloodlines, I think the trotters are going from strength to strength. I know a lot of the pacing people will cringe at that, but I just love the way the trotters are going, and to get these sort of bloodlines into Australia. I think one thing that is really, really good, and we'll pump you up, but horses like the Storm Inside going to start at Albar. They've got Vincent, Ultimate Machette, which they had up here as a there's a lot of Australian bred. I'm not calling them colonial. I saw someone who's got a stallion tender and they called them colonial breds. We've got to get away from that, because they're Australian bred racehorses, really, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think now we've been bringing so much great blood down from America over the last couple of decades that now the horses that we are breeding, the calibre of horses that we are breeding, are so good in Australia that we're comparable or better to what's coming out of America. And I think we need both. We need to have those horses that are that are Australian bred, but we also need to continue to have those coming down from America. You've got to have a balance. It's the same with the trotters, everything. So, and that's part, what I love about all the standardbred industry is, paces, trotters, chilled, frozen, ET. Like we have, so many things at our fingertips to breed with these horses, and access to, some of the best stallions in the world.
You actually love it. Like Luke's just got home from working all day fencing, and you actually love it, don't you? You seriously, and I think you're great. I'll do some other stuff down the track, because you're not from it's not like you woke up one day and you're a family of harness racing people. You actually came into it, and you actually got thoroughbreds more so on your side, even though you are distantly related to Lockie McIntosh, but not that distant.
By marriage, yeah.
So yeah. All right, so we've not too many more questions. We'll go just plug a couple of little things quickly while we're going. Swan Hill have a stallion tender. Jared Maloney actually just came in just there. It closes next Monday, 5 o'clock on September 7th. Anyone wants to know who that horse is in the photo, that's actually Yankee Rockstar. So that is a photo that I took here one day. So they've got quite a good list of stallions there, ranging from trotters to paces, in there, in all shapes and sizes. So get involved with that stallion tender. I think stallion tenders are a great way for people to get involved cheaply in the game. Bought also, theirs closes on the Monday the 7th. I've got to check with John Campbell officially a time, but I'd say we'll aim around the 5 o'clock mark, and there it is purely a trotting stallion tender, and the same range there. They've got some locals plus international bred horses as well, so well done to Bought for their stallion tender. Bendigo have got a stallion tender opened with Vincent, another of the Australian bred locals that's standing, I think he's third season for Alabar, so get onto the Bendigo website to see that one. And also Speeding Spur is offered up, and he was one of our prizes early on. We're saying about how great the prizes have been this year. Someone actually won a service fee to Speeding Spur. You can get onto the Horsham, I presume Facebook. I tried looking for their website and couldn't find it, and I won't touch base with them going forward, but I found this picture on their Facebook page, so make sure you go to there. And there are a lot of others. There's some in Western Australia, so there's a few around in a few places. So I think it's a great way for people to get involved in breeding horses, and at a discounted rate. Everyone rings up, wants a discount. Well, you've got your chance of setting your own discount, haven't you?
Yep, you can go into a bidding war to see how cheaply you can get the service fees.
Absolutely. It is starting to get cold here. I'll tell you, we were saying about how good the weather was.
I think it's
next week's episode, as I've alluded to there before, it will be with Nick Hooper, and I believe maybe someone else. We'll start from 4 o'clock. There's going to be some announcements towards the end of the season, and towards the end of next week, there'll be some great announcements coming through, and get involved. You'll hear all the announcements. You can ask as many questions as you like with Nick Hooper, and hopefully a very special guest going forward. That'll be live at 4 o'clock on Facebook, and Kath's just got a question hand in the air very nicely.
There's just a couple of questions on the Facebook post about flights into Newcastle from Melbourne and New Zealand. So as far as I'm aware, but I will clarify for you, but the New Zealand flights are all coming into Melbourne, and then they'll be distributed away from there. So Barneses will be able to get to the semen to Newcastle as per usual.
As per normal. Murphing asked me to explain a stay and tender. I think you put a bid in Murphing, or anyone that's actually listening to this, so you can set your own price. So you'll look to stay in up, what's his name? Sky Valley, for instance. I know he is $2,500. You can bid. Your minimum bid must be 70% of his service fee to be able to win it. You can't just bid $1. You won't win it for $1, but anything from 70%. And you can go above. I do know that the first year with Vincent, because I was on the committee at Bendigo, they closed his book, and there was two clubs actually, Swan Hill and Victoria and Bendigo, had stay-in tenders, and both exceeded what he was standing for, because all of a sudden people were very keen to get involved and go there. So Nick Hooper's saying 60%, and I'm definitely not going to argue with Nick. He knows more than me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 60%.
Okay.
You can, and that the proceeds will go to the race club.
Yep.
From the tenders. Yeah.
They all have different ways of working it out. Obviously, the highest bid wins. It's not
Yep.
it's not the lowest bid that does win, but yeah, so the highest bid wins. So get involved with those. As I said, there's Bendigo, Horsham, Swan Hill and Bort. Go to all their respective Facebook pages, and definitely I know both Bort and Swan Hill is on their websites, and as I said, and Bendigo's is as well. I couldn't find one for Horsham, so I apologise, Tony Logan. It may be there and I didn't see it, but yeah. And as I said, it's a speeding spur, which well done to Woodlands. I've actually got my Woodlands shirt on, not that you can see it, and I will say I'm going for the jacket as soon as we get off.
It started off sunny and now it's freezing.
It is indeed, and yeah, that's fine. So that was Jared Maloney. So that's pretty much a wrap. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed it. I think well done to you, Kath, for driving a lot of these behind the scenes. I'll catch up with Nick Hooper next week, and we'll probably have a lot more questions in regards to the couple of announcements that are going to go forward. But this won't be the last breed to succeed we'll be doing. We'll be probably doing some through the season, but I'd say ultimately not in the middle part of the season, because generally vets get very frustrated in the middle part of the season, don't they?
I don't know about frustrated, just tired.
Tired, grumpy, emotional.
No, but it has been, extremely successful, and we hope that everyone has got, taken something away each week. Hopefully there's been a good enough variety of topics for everyone, and we'll look forward to doing something similar next year, and maybe even getting the original idea of a physical road show back on, where we can travel around and everyone can get together and have a chat and have a few drinks and some food, and look at some of these people that have sponsored actually having a proper trade display and having a look at what they've got to offer. So we'll keep building, and thank you everyone for their support.
Absolutely, and we've got to say a big thank you to all the sponsors, and they've been just rolling over there on the side for the whole slide. So I think it's been very, very well done. I think we'll call it a day.
Yep, thanks,
we'll definitely
Paul.
call it a day, and we'll be back next week, as I said, live from 4 o'clock with Nick Hooper on a Zoom meeting. So we'll go from there. Thank you very much for everyone enjoying.